Okay, so wonderful good morning everyone. I welcome you back to my YouTube channel. Presenting before you this wonderful tutorial is Hampio Kliman. To those of you that are new to this channel, make sure that you subscribe and also you hit the like button, and also don't forget to share. Don't forget to also comment where you want to see some changes. If you want to comment us or you have a question, don't forget also to inbox us on this WhatsApp line. Okay, so today I'm introducing calculus, specifically limits. So we'll be understanding what a limit is. But first of all, I will want to make you understand what a limit is from a graph. So, what is a limit to start with? What exactly is a limit? If you're asked to find a limit in calculus, because it is very important that you understand what a limit is. If you understand what a limit is in calculus, then automatically everything becomes easy. So a limit is simply some value such that as x is approaching that value, then automatically the function of f of x must approach a certain constant value which we are calling as L. So I'll be able to illustrate that in my next video so that you see what I'm trying to say. For now, I'll just give you an overview. So for example, we have been told to evaluate limits from the following graphs. How then do we find the limits from the graph? So I'll try to give you an overview of what a limit is simply from these interesting graphs. So here we have been given a question and they just want us to just find if these limits are able to exist or if they're not able to exist, and if they exist, of what value, okay? By what value could be the function of y as x is simply approaching this value. Okay, now you have to pay attention to what has been given to you. So for example, let's start with the first question. They're saying we evaluate the limit as x is approaching -4, then they've put a positive sign here. This positive sign doesn't mean that this is a positive number. What they are simply saying is that you find the limit as x is approaching -4 from the positive hand side. So in this case, the positive hand side is this side. So you are coming from this direction. It is simply about limits and continuity. Okay? So now, in this case, they're saying find the limit as x is approaching -4 from the positive side. So you will start from here. This is a journey. So this is a journey. This is a journey. This is a journey. You reach here. When you reach here, you imagine you are on a top building. You will fall, and when you fall, you stand on this line, on this rope. You continue climbing the rope like this. You are climbing the rope till you reach where x is 4, is -4. So when you reach where x is -4, what are you having? You are having what value? Okay? You are having a hole here. But then this hole doesn't mean anything. Remember, we're just trying to find a value a value of y, such that when x approaching -4, that value of y will be able to be found from the graph. So in this case, when we reach this hole, we discover that the value of y is simply a -2. Okay, so when we approach this function from the positive hand side, we discover that we're getting a -2. Therefore, we say that as x approaches -4 from the positive hand side, we get -2. We go to the second. Limit as x approaches -4 from the negative hand side. So from the negative hand side, you start from here. So you're going like this, you're going like this, then you reach at -4. What value of y do you get? A +4. Therefore, you say the answer is +4. Okay? We go to the third one. Limit as x approaches 0. Okay, so since there is no direction here, we'll try to approach this function from both sides. So in this case, we know that our 0 is here. So if we approach this guy from here, where we climb the rope, we fall here, we start going in this direction. When we reach here, okay, when we approach 0, as we're approaching 0 in the x-axis, we discover that here we have a 2 in the y-axis, okay? And when we journey from this direction, we reach here, we fall on this open hole, we start moving in this direction, we discover that we are still meeting 0 in the x at y is equal to 2. Therefore, we say that limit as x is approaching 0 there is simply +2. Limit as x approaches -6 from the positive hand side. So we'll start from here. Since the same positive hand side means by what value of y does what value of y are we going to get as we approach this -6 in the x from the positive hand side? So positive hand side, you start from here, you journey like this, you fall on this, you fall down, you hold here, you start moving upward like this, you move, touch here, till you reach what is -6. By what value of y do you get? It's simply a 0. It's very simple and very interesting. So I'm sure you are able to see what's happening here. As x is approaching a certain value in the x-axis, you discover that there is a certain value that y is approaching, okay? So it's very important that you take note. Let's get to the second question. Okay, so here we have been given another graph, and they want us to establish the limits from this graph. So in this case, they are saying we find the limit as x is approaching -1. Okay? We find the limit as x approaching. So if we approach -1, okay, in the x-axis, what value of y does this function of f of x approach? So let's go at -1. We are here. We are at -1 here. So since they've not directed us, whether we're coming from the negative side or positive side, we are going to approach it from both sides. So if we start from the right hand side, we are moving like this, we find the hole, we jump, we're moving like this, okay, we jump, then we go -1, we discover that the value of y is simply a -2. And if we come from this side, we are journeying like this, we reach at -1, we are finding a -2. Therefore, our final answer for A is simply a -2. All right, so without wasting much time, I think this is very much clear now. We go to B, limit as x approaching 1 from the positive side. This is positive side, so it simply means we're coming from here. Let's go at 1, we go at 1. When we go at 1, we're finding that the answer is simply a 3. Okay, 3. So we say, therefore, the answer is 3. We go to C. So C is simply saying limit as x approaching 1 from the negative side. So this is 1. So from the negative side, we start from here, we journey like this. Okay, so we're finding that we have an open circle here, but doesn't mean anything. The value that y is approaching is simply 2. We go to D, limit as x approaching 2. So limit as x is approaching 2, but since we have not been directed from whence we are coming from, let's try to approach it from different sides. So in this case, we'll start from the negative side. You approach it from both sides if you have not been directed. So starting from here, we go like this, we go like this, we go like this, till we reach what 2 is. But then you discover that we don't find any closed hole or open circle here. It's continuous. Okay, the line is very much continuous here. There is no discontinuity. Therefore, you just take the value that you are going to find. So in this case, the value is simply 2 from both directions. So it's just a 2. We come to E. They are saying limit as x approaches 3 from the positive side, of course. 3 from the positive side. 3 from the positive side. Okay, so the answer is just 1 because we know that we're coming from here and we find an open circle at 3. So of course, it's just a 1. Okay, limit as x approaches 3 from the negative. 3 from the negative, we are moving like this. Like this. And the first open circle that we find gives us the answer. So of course, it's simply a 2. Okay, so this is very interesting. Now they want us to find the function of f of x, now input of -1. What value are we able to find? So for this one, it's very easy. The only thing you have to do is you go on the graph. Okay, you have to go on the graph. Then you find where -1 is. So since the input is -1, we go where this -1 is. Then we go down like this. We find an open circle. An open circle, in such an instance, when you have an input number, it doesn't give you any value. Instead, you must look for a closed circle, a dotted circle. If there is no dotted circle, you say the limit doesn't exist. Okay, but since there is a dotted circle, therefore our answer is simply a 2.5. Because our closed circle is at 2.5. How about limit? How about if we insert 1 in the function of f of x? We're at 1, we start moving upward like this. We find an open circle. An open circle doesn't give us anything, so let's try to find a closed circle. Okay, we find it in the same line where there is this open circle. So it has 3, therefore that's our answer. 3 therefore is our answer. Let's go to this one. How about f input of 3? So at 3, we start moving, we find an open circle here, it doesn't give us anything. We have an open circle here, it doesn't give us anything. But then we have a closed circle here. Therefore, this one is what is going to give us something. So where is it? It's at 1.5. Therefore, our answer is 1.5. So the main key idea here is just to locate that value of y. Okay? That value of y. As x is simply approaching a certain number in the x-axis. So we're just trying to find to discover the behavior of the function as x is approaching a certain value in the x-axis. Okay, so thank you so much. I'm sure you've learned something. Don't forget to subscribe, and also don't forget to share. And if you have a question, you can inbox me on this WhatsApp line and I'll be able to respond to you. Thank you so much once again.